So I want to bring in Robert Bianchi, who is the criminal defense attorney and former head New Jersey prosecutor. So from the prosecutor's perspective, Bob, tell me, there's been a lot of discussion about the job that they did and questions raised about how they did. And we just heard from Mark Richards. He said, I've known Tom Binger a long time, but I didn't like a lot of the things that he did in this courtroom.
Yeah, Martha, we kind of talked about this before on one episode. First off, as a former homicide prosecutor, having gone out and investigated cases before they're charged, it's shocking to me that within a matter of days before the autopsy results are in, before all the evidence is gathered at the crime scene, before witness statements are reviewed and videotapes are all reviewed, that a decision of this magnitude was made so quickly. I've taken weeks, sometimes months before I would file charges. So that fit right into the defense narrative in the closing statement that this was a rush to judgment because of the politics of things. That's number one. Number two, I was apoplectic, and I believe I was on your show, about the fact that the prosecutor did some things that any lawyer knows that they shouldn't be doing, and clearly is an act of desperation when Rittenhouse was on the witness stand, commented on his post-arrest silence, which, in my opinion, the judge wisely waited for this verdict to come out so that if it was not guilty, he would not have to rule on it singularly as opposed to let it be with the jury. But if that jury came back and said guilty, he would have to rule on that. That was an egregious, outrageous, and as I said before, when I was the head county prosecutor, he would be going downstairs right down to my office with a bunch of empty boxes to pack his office because he'd be gone. That was completely inappropriate, jeopardized the entire trial for the families of the people whose loved ones were killed, for Rittenhouse, for the judge, the jurors, and the whole court system. Then there's certain evidentiary rulings the judge made that the prosecutor violated by introducing it during the course of the trial to the rebuke of the judge. And then, of course, there's that video, the enhanced video. On and on we could go about this. So, it made me wonder, as a former prosecutor, now as a criminal defense attorney, what is this prosecutor doing? Do I have confidence, faith in his judgment to properly assess a case? Because as my colleague knows, prosecutors have a tremendous amount of discretion as to whether or not they charge an individual and how extensively they charge an individual from the beginning of a case. And unfortunately to me, I think the narrative that the defense attorney said, and I'm sad to say this as a former prosecutor, that this was a political decision to bring these charges, a rush to judgment before all the evidence came in, was borne out by the fact, Martha, that by my count, 4 of 6 witnesses on behalf of the state testified in a manner that was completely consistent with Rittenhouse's claim of self-defense. At one point in time on my show, I was listening to a witness testify, and I had to ask my producer, because I had just jumped on, is this a defense witness that was called out of turn? Because this was actually Rosenkreutz, who was actually giving testimony that he was the one being pursued. He was the one being attacked. They felt that he was in danger. They were throwing rocks at him. Shots were being fired. He's down on the ground. People are going at him. It's a perfect self-defense claim.
Yeah, indeed it was. That was Gage Grosskreutz, who was shot in the arm, and he also said that that he pointed his pistol at Kyle Rittenhouse, and that was how their interaction began, which a lot of people thought that the trial could have been over in that moment.